Good morning. This takes us to part 2, and we'll start to go over some of the finer points of the programs as they're actually in place. Enforcement works with building, fire, clerks to administer these 5 programs through licenses, registration, and enforcement. These types of rental accommodations are further regulated under the zoning bylaw, primarily regarding parking and parking standards, and subject to provincial legislation such as the Residential Tenancies Act in relation to subletting. You've been provided with a handout that defines each. It can be noted that each are subject to their own standards. In addition to their own standards and requirements, however, all must comply with other municipal bylaws like the Property Standards Bylaw that regulates interior and exterior minimum maintenance and occupancy controls. While the root cause of some larger issues is the type of housing form, many are the secondary issues that are more visible: grass, garbage, parking, which can be addressed more expediently and effectively than the occupancy itself. This is just a quick comparative snapshot. Registrations have fluctuated, but the service requests have remained fairly consistent. Although this shows year-over-year variances, what can also be noted is that every year is a significant number of both ARUs and service requests. There are different standards in some bylaws, but unless otherwise specified, they must comply with those set out in the Property Standards Bylaw. These standards regulate where sleeping may be provided and can be applied when living rooms and dining rooms are converted to accommodate an increased number of occupants. These provisions also require that a room provided for sleeping must have been constructed under a building permit and approved on the drawings as a bedroom, therefore complying with the requirements under the building code. Building permits review the occupant load of the floor area based on 2 persons per sleeping room or a sleeping area in a dwelling unit. To date, these occupancy standards have resulted in 266 penalty notices issued and $65,000 worth of fines. Some of the ongoing improvements that we've undertaken in the last several months include putting in place measures that addressed a operational review that was in place. Of the people leaders and direct reports to the director, 71% are new to the positions they currently hold. This has contributed to a significant opportunity to impact many of the recommendations related to culture, as well as creating a strong team environment that is dedicated to driving change. This has been further enhanced by the mayor's commitment to meet each one and encourage them in their commitment to the direction and vision being implemented. In regards to ARU and RRL efforts specifically, previous enforcement efforts operated in silos. Processes for both teams share commonalities in approach, and each have now amalgamated enforcement efforts so that there is a multifaceted approach. In addition to the core components of ARU and RRL investigations, the ancillary complaints related to these investigations are parking, refuse, and overgrown grass and weeds. Lines of communication have been established so that these enforcement areas are strategically deployed and all aspects of non-compliant property are addressed in unison. This ensures that non-compliant property owners are quickly educated on the path to compliance. We've also utilized an intelligence-led blitz enforcement process. Given the overwhelming complaint load of ARU and RRL property investigations, there is potential that for residents, what has been done is lost among what has not yet been done. There is also the geographic challenge of lost time as officers travel to different areas of the city to conduct their investigations. The Community Standards Enforcement Blitz model allows for officers to conduct focused efforts that include parking enforcement, streetscape inspections, as well as property inspections to be conducted in high-volume complaint zones. This contributes to maximum use of staffing resources, as well as providing a very visible presence to community members. The outcome is that sections of the community are immediately moved towards compliance, and the neighborhoods quickly benefit. These efforts have been conducted on an ad hoc basis to date and will benefit from a structured schedule beginning in January of 2025. Both of the above noted ARU and RRL efforts have also benefited significantly from the strong partnership with Brampton Fire Prevention officers and their leadership and contributions. In regards to our standard operating procedures, they have been strengthened for each enforcement area. These SOPs are a complete resource for newly assigned officers and have standardized processes and performance expectations with strong performance metrics and service delivery expectations now included. This will allow for better and analytical decision-making in regard to staff management and service delivery models. The parking enforcement model has been strengthened to include both day and night teams utilizing ALPR technology, and resources will also include intelligence-led loop routes that will consistently address high complaint zones while still allowing for ARU, RRL specific efforts and immediate priority complaint response capacity. Customer service improvements, previous information on the investigative status and actions taken have been limited and generic. Service Brampton has now been provided increased access to investigative status to better inform the public and reduce callback requests. Additionally, the information provided to describe investigative actions has been significantly increased so that meaningful updates can be provided without requiring further input from the investigating officer. The variety of automatic messages to complaints has also been enhanced to provide more meaningful information and will go live in December of 2024. The above two improvements increase customer service in that it allows greater potential for Service Brampton to resolve information requests at the first point of contact. These improvements could not have been achieved without the knowledge, experience, and collaborative efforts of the Service Brampton team. As this slide demonstrates, when we put it all together, it is very much a multidisciplinary and multi-jurisdictional effort. We make every attempt to streamline communications for the public, but this still sometimes results in their being moved along to different divisions simply because they are the subject matter experts. We continue to work on these processes to continually improve our customer service. For investigations outside of our jurisdiction, 311 provides a seamless, warm transfer to the agencies that are best equipped to address the issues. We also have numerous community partnerships, and really the key to increasing effectiveness is strong relationships. We partner with other community stakeholders, both in regard to service delivery, as well as community outreach and education. These community partnerships, which include the community outreach and education initiatives such as newcomer orientations, off-campus housing, student workshops, and town halls, foster awareness and engagement among tenants and landlords alike. These programs, including the Be a Good Neighbor initiative, help educate residents about their rights and responsibilities, promoting safer and more cohesive communities. Some of the challenges that we do experience is under the Landlord-Tenant Board. Enforcement does not evict residents. The owners must comply with the Residential Tenancies Act, so we need to allow that process to play out as it's designed. This creates delays, but of course that is out of our municipal control. And under the Planning Act, there's also an inability to administer administrative penalties, so they rely on the court system, which is also somewhat time-consuming. We have an inability to perform remedial work and recover costs, and we can't register orders on title. There is ongoing advocacy in relation to these areas, and more can always be undertaken. This will be spoken to further as well, and at this point I will turn it over to Chantel to speak towards fire prevention.